$89 million dollars had disappeared. Raúl Soto, a billionaire owner of one of the country's largest companies, was on the verge of bankruptcy, and no one could discover why. International consultants, expensive auditors, financial fraud specialists, all failed. Meanwhile, Elena Reyes, the $34-year-old cleaner who had been cleaning the same corridors for $9 years, was about to see what none of them had noticed. Raúl had exactly $17 minutes before the meeting that could decree the end of everything. $17 minutes to find an answer that no one had been able to provide in 3 months of investigation. Sitting alone in the boardroom, he watched the city below as he felt the weight of an empire about to collapse. $52 years old, $30 years building a company that employed $12,000 people, and now it was bleeding millions without knowing where the cut was coming from. The door opened. Elena entered pushing the cleaning cart, her eyes fixed on the floor. As always, Raúl barely registered her presence. She was part of the furniture, invisible like the air conditioning or the light fixtures. How long had she been working there? $7 years? $9? He didn't know. He had never asked. "Excuse me, Dr. Soto," she murmured, starting to empty the trash cans. He nodded distractedly, his eyes returning to the reports scattered on the table. Numbers, graphs, analyses, all pointing to the same black hole consuming his fortune. $89 million was what had disappeared in the last $4. Years, according to the latest audit, $89 million that simply evaporated without a trace. The best consultants in the country had spent weeks tracing every penny. International auditors charged a fortune to turn over every document. Financial crime specialists examined every suspicious transaction. And nothing, absolutely nothing. How is it possible? Raúl whispered to himself, running his hands through his gray hair. Elena wiped the side table, her movements precise and silent. She had always been like that, efficient, discreet, practically invisible. No one noticed when she came in or left. No one cared. Raúl's phone vibrated. Message from Marta, his secretary. "They've arrived, $5 minutes. They, the representatives of the investment funds that kept the company afloat, the same ones who had given an ultimatum the previous week. Either Raúl discovered the leak, or they would pull the investment. Simple as that. Without their money, the company wouldn't survive another 2 months." Raúl stood up, adjusted his tie. He needed to look confident, in control, even if he was in absolute panic inside. "I'm done, Dr. Soto," Elena said softly, pushing the cart toward the door. He didn't even respond. He was already mentally in the meeting, preparing arguments, trying to buy time. 1 more week. He just needed 1 more week. For what? To keep looking for something no one could find? The door closed behind Elena. She walked down the Italian marble corridor, pushing the cart that creaked slightly. Her white sneakers made no noise. She had learned to move in silence years ago. It was easier when no one noticed you. The $40 floor was the heart of the company. That's where the executive offices, the VIP boardrooms, the private office of Raúl himself were. And that's also where the secrets were, the conversations no one should hear, the documents no one should see. But she did see. Elena heard, not because she wanted to, simply because she was always there, invisible, while executives discussed strategies as if she were part of the wall. The situation is critical. She had heard the CFO say the previous week. Javier Salas, an elegant man in his $40, always impeccable in his Italian suits. "If we don't find the source of the leak, we're going to have to lay off at least $2,000 employees. $2,000 families, $2,000 fathers, mothers, children." Elena thought of her own daughter Sophia, $12 years old. She thought of how many other Sophias would lose their homes if the company closed. She got into the service elevator, pressed the $38 floor button. She had 6 more floors to clean before the end of her shift. 6 floors, $42 offices, $23 bathrooms. When the doors opened, she almost bumped into a group of men in suits. Consultants, apparently, all carrying expensive laptops and speaking English. More specialists hired to find what was bleeding the company. "Excuse me," one of them said, not even looking at her as he passed. Elena stepped aside, leaned the cart against the wall, waited for them to pass, always waited. It was easier that way. "It makes no sense," one of the consultants was saying in Portuguese with a heavy accent. "We reviewed all the offshore accounts, all the subsidiaries, all the contracts. It's all clean." "Maybe it really is a systemic error," another replied. "Something in the projections, in the estimates. With $89 million, impossible." They turned the corner and disappeared. Elena went back to pushing the cart. $89 million was a number that didn't fit in her head. How much was that? How many years of her salary? How many entire lifetimes of work? She entered the secondary boardroom on the 38th Dalworth floor, empty but messy. Someone had held an emergency meeting there earlier. Half-empty coffee cups, scattered papers, chairs out of place. Elena started with the basics, collecting the cups, throwing away the used napkins, straightening the chairs. Then she picked up the papers to organize and leave in a pile. They always did that. They left the documents stacked for the executives to pick up later. But one of them caught her attention. It shouldn't have. It was just another financial report like so many others she saw every day. Numbers, tables, graphs, things she shouldn't understand, except that she did understand. Elena stopped, held the paper more closely. Her eyes scanned the lines, the columns of values, and then she saw 7, 12, 19, 7, 12, 19. The pattern repeated page after page, month after month. Values too small for anyone to notice. Values that looked like administrative fees, operating costs, petty expenses. But Elena had seen those same numbers before. Last week, last month, always the same ones, always in the same sequence. Her heart raced. She took another report from the pile, the same pattern, took a third. There it was again. 7, 12, 19, 7, 12, 19, 7, 12, 19. Like a heartbeat, like a signature. Elena looked at the door. No one. She quickly took her cell phone out of her pocket and photographed the pages. Her hands trembled slightly. She didn't know exactly what she was seeing, but she knew it was important. Very important. She put her phone away, organized the papers as if nothing had happened, and finished cleaning the room. But her mind was racing. Those numbers, they meant something. She was sure. $20 minutes later, in the basement locker room, Elena opened the photos on her phone, zoomed in, studied, and then did the math. If that pattern repeated in all the monthly reports, if they were hundreds of small transactions per day, how much did it total? She took a piece of paper and started calculating. Numbers were never her strong suit. She had dropped out of high school in her second year to work, but this was basic math, multiplication, addition. When she reached the result, she had to redo the calculations. It wasn't possible, but it was. $89 million. Elena leaned against the wall, the paper trembling in her hands. She had found it. She had found what? Dozens of expensive consultants, international auditors, and financial specialists could not see. Now she just needed to make someone believe her, and that she knew would be the hardest part. Elena Reyes woke up every day at 4:30 in the morning, not because she liked it, but because it was the only way to manage everything. Prepare breakfast for Sophia, pack her school bag, comb her daughter's hair, and make that braid the girl liked so much. Drop her off at the neighbor Senora Inez's house, who would look after her until school time, take 2 buses to the city center, and arrive at the company before $7 in the morning. Years doing the same route. Years entering through the basement service door, changing clothes in the cramped locker room, going up with the cleaning cart in the elevators the executives never used. $9 years being invisible. "Good morning, senor." "Ricardo," she greeted the service reception guard. "Good morning, Elena. Busy day today, huh? Important meeting upstairs." She smiled without answering. There was always an important meeting. The whole company lived in important meetings, and she cleaned them all. The service elevator was different. From the others, no mirrors, no piped music, no expensive perfume smell, just metal, worn buttons, and a constant creak. Elena pressed the $38 floor button. She would start from the bottom up today. As she went up, She thought about the bills. She always thought about the bills. Rent due in $10. Days, late electricity bill, Sophia needing new sneakers. Hers were falling apart, and the blood pressure medicine she needed to take, but had been postponing because there wasn't enough money left over. $2,400 per month. That's what she earned cleaning the offices where millions circulated every day. She didn't complain. It was honest, dignified work. But when she saw the executives complaining that their annual bonus was only $50,000, she had to bite her tongue. The doors opened on the 38th floor. Elena pushed the cart out and almost bumped into two women in high heels, talking in the hallway. "Excuse me," she murmured, stepping aside. They didn't even look. They continued the conversation as if she were air. "Javier is a nervous wreck," one of them was saying. "I've never seen him like this. Normal with all this crisis, everyone's head is going to roll. Do you think they'll fire people?" "Of course they will. I've already heard about $2,000 cuts." Elena felt a tightness in her chest. $2,000. It was the number she had heard last week. $2,000 families on the streets. She entered the first room on the left, a medium-sized boardroom. It seated $20 people. It was relatively clean. They hadn't used it much yesterday. She started with the trash cans, then wiped the tables, straightened the chairs. Mechanical work. Her hands knew what to do without her thinking. And while her hands worked, her mind wandered. Those numbers she had seen yesterday, 7, 12, 19, repeated. Hundreds of times. She had done the math on paper, redid it 3 times to be sure. $89 million. Could she be right? Could she have misunderstood? But there was no way she could be wrong. It was simple math. If those small values were repeated every day in all those transactions, the sum was exactly that, $89 million, the exact amount the company had lost. Coincidence? She murmured to herself as she polished the glass table, but something inside her said it wasn't. Elena finished the room and went to the next one. Individual office, manager of something. The desk was covered in papers, colorful Post-its, 3 empty coffee cups. She collected the cups, threw away the crumpled papers in the trash, and then saw another report. She shouldn't have looked. It wasn't her business. But her eyes automatically went to the numbers on the page. There it was again, $7, $12, $19. Her heart raced. She picked up the paper, looked closer. It was a report from 3 months ago, and the pattern was there, exactly the same. "What are you doing?" Elena jumped, almost dropping the cup she was holding. She turned and saw a man in a suit standing in the doorway. She didn't know him. He must be one of the new managers. Excuse me, sir, I was just cleaning. That document is confidential." He crossed the room in 3 steps and snatched the paper from her hand. "You shouldn't be touching this." "I wasn't touching it, sir. I just saw it accidentally when I went to throw away the trash." "Accidentally?" The man looked at her up and down with disdain. "Can you even read?" The question hurt more than it should have. Elena lowered her eyes. "Yes, I can, sir." "Then you should know that this here is none of your business." He threw the paper on the table. "Finish quickly and leave. And next time, keep your eyes on the floor." Elena finished cleaning in silence, her cheeks burning with humiliation. When she left, the man didn't even look in her direction. She continued working automatically. 5 more rooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 kitchenettes. The hours passed slowly, as always. During her lunch break, she went down to the basement cafeteria. It wasn't the same restaurant where the executives ate. That one was on the $20th floor, with a view of the city and an international buffet. The basement cafeteria was simple, Formica tables, basic but plentiful food. Elena took her packed lunch from home, rice, beans, and a fried egg, and sat at the corner table alone. As always, well, almost always. "Hi, Eli." Carla, another cleaner, sat across from her with a full tray. "Did you see the look on everyone's faces today? They're all desperate." "Yes, I did. They say there's going to be mass layoffs. My brother-in-law works in HR. He said they're already preparing the letters." Elena stirred her beans with her fork. not very hungry. We could be fired too. Sure, everyone could be. Carla took a large forkful. The company's broke, my dear. Rich people cry too. But there's something strange, Elena said softly, almost without thinking. Strange how? Elena hesitated. Should she speak? Carla was nice, but she was also a gossip. What if she told someone and it reached the wrong ears? Nothing. Forget it. Oh, don't do that. Now you've made me curious. It's just that I saw some numbers in the reports they leave in the rooms. Carla laughed. Honey, we see numbers all day long. This company only makes numbers. But these were different. They repeat, always the same values, always in the same order. So what? So what? When I added it all up, it comes to exactly the amount the company lost. Carla stopped chewing, looked at Elena with a strange expression. You did the math? I did. Elena, Carla leaned over the table, lowering her voice. Are you telling me you discovered what those expensive consultants couldn't? Said like that, it sounded ridiculous. Elena felt her cheeks flush. Forget it, it was silly of me. No, maybe it's not. Carla became serious. But listen to a friend's advice. Don't get involved in this. We're cleaners, Ella. No one will pay attention to what you have to say. But what if it's true? What if I really found something? Then you'll be humiliated, ignored, or worse, they'll fire you for sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. Carla squeezed her hand. I've known you for $5 years. You're a good person, a fighter, but this isn't your world. Let the suits solve their problems. Elena knew. Her friend was right. She knew that if she stood up and tried to talk to someone, she would be ridiculed, ignored, humiliated. But what if those $2,000 employees lost their jobs because of something she could have prevented? What if Sophia was left without a school because she had kept quiet when she should have spoken up? I need to at least try, she said, more to herself than to Carla. Her friend sighed, shaking her head. God protect you, girl, because you're going to need it. The rest of the day passed quickly. Elena cleaned $12 more rooms, 6 bathrooms, 4 kitchenettes, and in every place she saw the same worried faces. Executives talking quietly in corners, secretaries crying hidden, managers making tense calls, all trying to save a company that was sinking. And no one knew that perhaps the answer was in the hands of the woman who cleaned their rooms. When it was $6 in the evening, Elena put away the cart, changed clothes, and clocked out. 2 buses back home, pick up Sophia from Senora Inez's house, make dinner, help with homework, bathe the girl, put her to sleep. Only then, already past $10 at night, did she sit at the kitchen table with the photos she had taken of the reports, redo the math, once, twice, 3 times. The result was always the same. $89 million. Elena looked towards the bedroom where Sophia was sleeping. She thought of all the other children whose parents worked at that company. She thought of all the families who would suffer if no one found the solution. And she made a decision. Tomorrow, she would speak. It didn't matter if they humiliated her. It didn't matter if they ignored her. She was going to make someone listen, even if she had to go all the way to Raúl Soto himself. Elena didn't sleep that night. She lay staring at the ceiling of the small room, listening to Sophia's quiet breathing on the mattress beside her. What if she lost her job? What if Javier carried out his threat? But what if she kept quiet and $2,000 families lost everything? At $4 in the morning, she gave up on sleeping. She prepared coffee, woke Sophia, dropped the girl off at Senora Inez's, took the 2 usual buses, her stomach churning. The folder with the photos was at the bottom of her bag. She entered through the service door at $7 sharp, but instead of getting the cleaning cart, she went straight to the social elevator, the main one. She pressed the $42 floor button. When the doors opened, the impeccably dressed secretary of Raúl frowned. Can I help you? I need to speak to Dr. Raúl Soto. The woman smiled condescendingly. Do you have an appointment? No, but it's urgent. Everything is urgent, dear. If you want to leave a message, I need to speak personally. It's about the company's financial problem. The secretary laughed. Dr. Raúl has international consultants taking care of that. He doesn't need suggestions from cleaners. But I have proof. Security. The woman pressed a button. 2 security guards appeared. One of them grabbed Elena's arm. Come on, ma'am, no trouble. I just need to speak to Dr. Raúl, it's important. Everyone thinks their problem is important. The guard escorted her to the service elevator. Elena was pushed inside. The doors closed. She went down, her body trembling with frustration. She wasn't going to give up. She couldn't. She waited $20 minutes and came back, this time through the service elevator, coming out in the back corridor. She knew every corner, an advantage of $9 years cleaning all the floors. Raúl's office was at the end, double wooden door. Elena approached, her hand extended to knock. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Javier Salas came down the hallway, furious. I warned you yesterday, I warned you. Dr. Salas, you're just going to be fired. He grabbed her arm tightly. Termination with just cause. You're finished. I just want to help. Help? You're nothing but an ignorant cleaner. The office door opened. Raúl Soto was there. He looked at the two of them. Javier holding Elena's arm, her eyes tearful. What's going on here? Javier released Elena immediately. Nothing, Raúl, just an employee who... He won't. Let me talk to you. Elena spoke quickly. I found out where the company's loss is coming from. Raúl raised an eyebrow. You found out? She didn't find out anything. She's a cleaner with crazy theories. Let me hear what she has to say. Raúl, this is a waste of... Javier, I said, let me... Listen. Javier clenched his jaw, pale. Raúl stepped away. Come in. Elena entered the office. It was immense. Mahogany desk, bookcase, panoramic view. Raúl sat down, gestured for her to sit too. Javier entered behind her. You can close the door and go back to your sector, Javier. But Raúl... I said, go back. Javier slammed the door shut as he left. Raúl leaned back. You have $5 minutes. Elena took a deep breath. My name is Elena Reyes. I've been working here for $9 years, and I saw something no one else saw. She took the folder out of her bag, placed it on the table. These are financial reports. I saw a pattern in these small values. $7, $12, $19, always in the same order, hundreds of times a day. Raúl picked up the photos. Administrative fees are normal. Yes, sir, but not in a fixed pattern. Real fees vary, these do not. Raúl narrowed his eyes. Continue. I did. The math. She showed the crumpled paper. If these micro-transfers happen in all operations for $4 years, they total $89 million. Absolute silence fell. Raúl looked at the papers, then at her. Are you saying someone created a micro-transfer diversion scheme? Yes, sir. Small amounts. That no one would question, but which, when added up. Raúl went to the window, looked out at the city for long seconds. I brought in auditors from 3 countries, consultants who charge $20,000 a day. He turned around, and a cleaner found what they didn't. I've been seeing the same reports. For $9 years, Dr. Soto. When something repeats itself always the same, do you notice it? Raúl picked up the phone. Marta, cancel all my meetings and call internal audit staff now. He hung up. We're going to find out if you're right. $15 minutes later, the room was full. 3 auditors, 2 consultants, the IT director. Raúl presented the theory, showed the papers. This is ridiculous, a consultant said. We already analyzed all the transactions. You analyzed the large ones, Elena said softly. Everyone looked at her. No one looked at the small ones because they seem normal. The IT director frowned. She has a point. Our audit focused on amounts above $10,000. Then run a different filter, Raúl ordered. Small transfers in a fixed pattern. The director opened his laptop. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Tense silence. $5 minutes, $10, $15. And then he stopped. Pale. My God. What is it? Raúl approached. She's right. He turned the screen. Thousands of micro-transfers. Always the same values. Always to the same accounts. Raúl looked. His face hardened. Track the origin. More typing. It's from the financial department, authorized by the director. Yeah. Swallowed hard. Javier Salas. The bomb dropped. Raúl closed his eyes. When he opened them, there was controlled fury. Call security. Confine Javier to his office and call our lawyers. The auditors rushed out. Raúl turned to Elena. Years you've worked here? Yes, sir. And no one had the decency to pay attention to you? Elena didn't answer. Raúl extended his hand. My name is Raúl Soto, and I owe you an apology. She shook his hand in disbelief. You don't owe me anything, Dr. Soto. I just did what was right. Few would. You saved $12,000 jobs today. Outside, raised voices, shouts. Javier. Being escorted. Elena closed her eyes. She had succeeded. The news spread through the company like wildfire. Javier Salas, the untouchable financial director, was being escorted by security, handcuffs on his wrists, face pale. The arrogance he always carried had completely disappeared. Elena watched. Everything from Raúl's office. Through the glass window, she watched the employees crowding the hallways, whispering, discreetly taking photos with their phones. They will want to know what happened, Raúl said behind her. And they deserve to know the truth. He picked up the internal phone. Call. A general meeting, main auditorium, 1 o'clock, all employees. Elena turned around. Dr. Soto, can I go back to my work now? He looked at her with a strange expression. Go back, Elena. You just saved this company. Do you really think you're just going back to cleaning floors? It's my job. Sir? It was. Raúl crossed his arms. But it won't be anymore. At least not the way it was before. She didn't understand, but didn't have time to ask. The door opened and 2 men in suits entered, company lawyers by their badges. Dr. Soto, we need the full details of the scheme to formalize the charges. Raúl nodded. Elena, can you repeat everything you told me from the beginning? And she repeated it. For the 3rd time that morning, she told about the numbers she saw, the pattern she noticed, the calculations she did alone in her kitchen at home. The lawyers took quick notes, exchanging serious looks. This is sufficient for a criminal case, one of them said. Systematic diversion over years, amounts reaching $89 million. Javier Salas will answer for a long time. And accomplices? Raúl asked. The system shows he worked alone, set everything up personally, used his own credentials, wanted to control everything. Greed, Raúl murmured. Greed always wants everything. An hour later, the auditorium was packed. $1,200, people seated, others standing in the aisles. Managers, supervisors, analysts, assistants, cleaning staff, security, kitchen, all there anxiously. Raúl went up to the stage. Elena stayed backstage, her heart pounding. Good morning, everyone, Raúl began, his voice amplified by the microphones. I know you're scared. I know you saw Javier being escorted by security, and you deserve to know what happened. Absolute silence, not a cough. For $4 years, this company bled $89 million. We hired the world's best specialists to find out where the problem was. No one found it. He paused. Until someone did. Someone who has been working here for $9 years. Someone that all of us, including myself, always ignored. Murmurs in the auditorium. Elena Reyes, please come up here. Elena froze. No, he wasn't going to. Elena! Raúl looked backstage. She took 1 step, then another. Her legs were trembling. She walked onto the stage under 1,000 curious eyes. Raúl put his hand on her shoulder. Elena works in cleaning. For $9 years, she has cleaned our rooms, emptied our trash cans, polished our tables. And all that time she was observing. She saw things we didn't see. He told the story, the reports she found, the pattern of the numbers, the calculations she did alone, the courage to insist, even being humiliated, threatened, almost fired. And the final discovery, Javier Salas had created a phantom micro-transfer system, amounts so small they went unnoticed. $7 here, $12 there, $19 over there, hundreds a day, thousands a month for $4 years. He was diverting the money to offshore accounts through Shell. Companies, Raúl explained. The system was perfect, so perfect that our best auditors didn't detect it, but Elena detected it with observation, patience, and a simple calculator. The auditorium erupted in applause. Elena felt the tears burn. She looked at the audience and saw Carla standing, applauding and crying. She saw Senor Ricardo smiling broadly. She saw cleaning colleagues waving, and she also saw the executives, some applauding awkwardly, others with expressions of shame. Javier will be criminally prosecuted, Raúl continued when the applause died down. We have already recovered access to the accounts and initiated judicial freezes. We won't recover everything, but we will recover a significant portion, and more importantly, the company is saved. More applause, now with shouts of celebration. But this story taught me something. Raúl raised his voice. It taught me that I failed as a leader, that we failed as an organization because we built a culture where people like Elena were invisible, where the woman who saw everything was the only one no one listened to. Silence returned, heavy, uncomfortable. That changes today, Raúl declared. From now on, every employee of this company has a voice. Every employee matters, and every employee will be heard. He turned to Elena. Did you study accounting? She blinked in surprise. I started, sir. I didn't finish. I needed to work. You will finish now. The company will pay for your full tuition, and when you graduate, you have an auditor position waiting for you. Elena covered her mouth, tears falling freely now. But in the meantime, Raúl smiled. I need you in a new position, special transparency consultant. You will work directly with me, reviewing all our financial processes. Because if there's anyone here, who knows how to find what's hidden, it's you. The auditorium gave a standing ovation, clapping, whistling, shouting. Elena couldn't speak. She just cried and nodded, still not believing it was real. When the meeting ended, dozens of people approached, wanting to congratulate her, shake her hand, take a picture with her. Carla hugged her tightly. I told you you'd need divine protection. And look, you did it. Senor Ricardo also came to greet her. I always knew you were special, Elena. But in the midst of the celebration, Elena saw someone approaching, a man in a gray suit about $40 years. Old, serious expression. Elena, I'm Marco Castro, logistics manager. She remembered. He was the one who had shouted at her last week when she tried to talk about the numbers. I came to apologize, he said, his voice low. I was rude to you, arrogant, and you were right all along. Elena studied him, saw genuine shame in his eyes. Thank you for acknowledging it, she said simply. Others came later, the secretary who had thrown her out of the reception, the analyst who laughed at her crazy theory, even some executives who always ignored her in the hallways. Not everyone apologized, but everyone showed a respect they had never shown before. At the end of the afternoon, Raúl called her back to the office. Your new office is next to mine, he said, handing her a key. Small room, but with a window, and working air conditioning. Elena laughed, still holding the key as if it were gold. There's one thing I need to know, Raúl said. Why didn't you give up? Javier threatened you, humiliated you, almost fired you. Why did you insist? She thought about the question. She thought of Sophia, the $2,000 families who almost lost everything, the $9 years cleaning rooms while being invisible. Because being right isn't enough, Dr. Soto. Sometimes you have to fight for what's right, even when no one believes you, even when everything tells you to give up. Raúl smiled. You're going to teach this company a lot, Elena. When she finally left the building at $7 in the evening, the sun had already set. She waited for the bus as usual, but everything felt different. She called Senora Inés. Senora Inés, it's me. You can tell Sophia that Mommy has good news, very good news. On the crowded bus, squeezed between strangers, Elena looked out the window and smiled. $24 hours. Ago, she was invisible. Today, she had saved $12,000 jobs and proven that sometimes the most underestimated person in the room is exactly the one who will change everything. 3 months later, Elena entered the building through the main door. Not the service one, the main glass and marble one where executives entered every day. Good morning, Dr. Elena. the new security guard greeted her. She still wasn't used to the doctor title. She wasn't a doctor, but ever since she became a consultant, everyone treated her that way. "Good morning, Cristiano." She took the social elevator, went straight to the 42,000 floor. Her office was there now, next to Raúl's office, exactly as he had promised. Small room, but hers, with a desk, computer, comfortable chair, and the window. The window with a view of the city she loved so much. On the desk, piles of reports awaited review. Part of her new job, reviewing every financial process of the company, looking for inconsistencies, ensuring that no one could ever do what Javier did again. She turned on the computer and saw 3 new emails from Raúl. Subject: urgent. We need to talk. She knocked on his office door. "Come in, Elena." Raúl was on phone, but gestured for her to sit down. He finished the call quickly. "I have news," he said. "2 good, 1 bad. Which one first?" "The bad, always the bad one first. Javier got a plea deal. He will return $22 million and receive a reduced sentence." Elena felt anger rise. "Only $22 he stole. He... $89. I know, but the lawyers say it's better to accept. Long processes are expensive and don't guarantee recovery. At least this way, we are sure to get something." She took a deep breath. Justice was never perfect, but at least he was going to pay. "And the good news?" Raúl smiled. "First, the company closed the quarter in the black, the first profit in 2 years. Investors are returning. Clients are renewing contracts. We are recovering. That's great. Second piece of news." He paused dramatically. "The board approved my proposal. We are going to create a valorization program for all. Basic employees, cleaning, security, maintenance, kitchen, a 23% salary increase, extended health plan, scholarships for those who want to study." Elena felt her eyes fill. "Dr. Soto, that was your idea." "Actually, it was that day in the auditorium, when I said every employee matters. You made me realize that it's not enough just to talk. You have to do it. People are going to be so happy. There's more. I want you to present the program to them. You are the face of this change, Elena, the living proof that the company has changed." She accepted, of course, and the following week, she was back in the auditorium, but now, not as the invisible cleaner, but as the consultant who had saved the company. She presented the program, explained the benefits, answered questions, and saw tears on the faces of colleagues who, like her, always struggled to survive on tight salaries. Carla came to hug her afterwards. "You changed everything, Ellie. Not just for you, for all of us. We changed together. You believed in me when no one else did. And look where you ended up." It was true. In 3 months, Elena's life had turned upside down. New salary, $6,000, more than double what she earned before. Sophia in private school, full scholarship paid by the company, new apartment, more expensive rent, but in a better neighborhood, closer to her daughter's school. And she, Elena Reyes, was studying accounting at the best private university in the city, tuition fully paid by the company. But what moved her the most was not that, it was the respect. When she walked through the corridors now, people greeted her, asked for her opinion, listened to what she had to say. Managers consulted her before approving processes. "Dr. Elena, can you take a look at this for me?" Analysts wanted to learn from her. "How do you manage to see these patterns so fast?" Even Raúl consulted her on important decisions. "Elena, I need your view on this." She was seen, she was heard, she was valued. 2 months after the program was implemented, Raúl called her again. "There's a business magazine wanting to talk to you." Interview? Business magazine. They want to do an article about the story. "The cleaner who saved an empire." That's the title they suggested. Elena frowned. "I didn't like that title. It sounds like sensationalism." Raúl laughed. "Then suggest another one. You're giving the interview." She gave it and asked them to change the title to "When the Company Learns to Listen to Everyone." The article came out 3 weeks later, 4 pages with photos of her in Raúl's office at the company, telling the whole story, Javier's scheme, her discovery, the transformation of the corporate culture, and ended with a quote from Elena that went viral on social media. "It doesn't matter what your job title is. If you observe, if you care, you have the power to change things." Calls started coming in. Other companies wanting to hire Elena as a consultant, universities asking her to give lectures, TV shows wanting to interview her. "You've become a celebrity," Carla joked. "I don't want to be a celebrity. I want to be good at what I do." And she was. In 6 months as a consultant, Elena identified 3 more inconsistencies in the financial processes. Nothing as serious as Javier's scheme, but holes that were bleeding money without anyone realizing it. Raúl created a new protocol. Before approving any process, it had to pass through Elena's review. "You have an eye that no one else has," he would say. 1 year after the discovery, the company held a special event. The 1-year anniversary of the new era, as they called it. Javier was in prison, sentenced to $8 years, even with the plea deal. The $22 million returned was invested in improvements, new technology, hiring, expansion. The company had grown by $30%. Record profitability, employee satisfaction at an all-time high. And on the stage of the event, Raúl made an announcement. "I want to introduce our new Director of Compliance and Transparency." Elena froze in the audience. "Elena Reyes, please come up here." She walked onto the stage to deafening applause. Raúl handed her a plaque. "Welcome to the Board of Directors." Director. She, who a year ago was pushing a cleaning cart, was now a director. "Thank you." That was all she could say into the microphone. Her voice choked. That night at home, Sophia, now 13 years old, hugged her. "Mom, you're my hero." "I'm not a hero, daughter. I just did the right thing. Even when it was hard, even when no one believed you, you taught me that. You taught me that doing the right thing is worth it." Elena hugged her daughter tightly, thinking of everything that had changed, not just for her, but for hundreds of employees who now had a voice, dignity, opportunity. She thought of Javier, who had everything and threw it away out of greed. She thought of Raúl, who learned to listen in time to save his company. And she thought of herself, the invisible woman who became indispensable, not because she was the smartest, not because she was the most qualified, but because she observed, because she cared, because she had the courage to speak up when it was easier to stay quiet. And sometimes, she thought, looking out the window of the new apartment, that's all the world needs. People who observe, who care, who speak up, even when no one is listening, because at some point someone will listen, and everything can change. 2 years later, Elena parked her car in front of the company building, took the diploma from the back seat, still inside the elegant box, Bachelor of Accounting Sciences. $4 years of struggle, but she had done it. Sophia had cried at the ceremony. Carla screamed so much she was almost kicked out of the auditorium, and Raúl was there in the front row, giving a standing ovation. Now he had asked her to come to the company. "I have a surprise." Elena entered through the main lobby. The elevator took her to the $42 floor. When the doors opened, she saw a banner. "Congratulations, Dr. Elena, pride of us all." Employees applauding, balloons, cake. "Guys, you didn't have to." "Of course we did," Carla hugged her. "You're the first one from the cleaning team to graduate, first of many." It was true. In the last $2 years, 17 basic employees had started college. 6 had already graduated from technical courses, 3 promoted to administrative sectors. Raúl appeared smiling. "A graduate, huh? Come, I want to show you something." In the boardroom, $10 people were waiting. Young people mostly. Notebooks, tablets, attentive expressions. "Elena, this is the new preventive audit team. All from internal selection process, all coming from basic sectors." She recognized some faces. "Roberto, didn't you work in the kitchen?" The young man smiled. "I took a technical accounting course. When the vacancy opened, I was approved." Raúl turned to the team. "Folks, I present your director, Dr. Elena Reyes." The $10 applauded on their feet. "We are going to do an incredible job together," she said, and they did. In the following months, they revolutionized the audit processes, created new protocols, verification systems, alerts for suspicious patterns. Raúl implemented the open-door policy. Any employee could report irregularities directly to the board of directors, without fear, without bureaucracy. The company became a national reference in transparency. Elena was invited to speak at universities, corporate events, conferences. She always told the same story. It doesn't matter where you are today. If you observe injustice, speak up. If you see a mistake, correct it. Don't be quiet just because it's not your place. Because sometimes you are the only person who can make a difference. 3 years after the discovery, the company celebrated its best year. 58% growth, awards for excellence in governance, and Raúl convened the shareholders' assembly. I propose the inclusion of Dr. Elena Reyes as an effective member of the Administrative Council. Applause. Unanimous. Vote. Elena Reyes, who 3 years ago was pushing a cleaning cart, now had a seat on the council. That night she found Sophia studying at home, their own house now. "Mom, I decided what I want to be when I grow up." "What, honey?" "An auditor, just like you." Elena hugged her daughter, laughing and crying. "You can be whatever you want, my love. You taught me that. You taught me that it doesn't matter where we come from, it matters where we are going." On the $5th anniversary of the discovery, the company inaugurated the Elena Reyes Institute for Professional Development. Free courses, training, mentoring for young people from disadvantaged communities. Elena was the first president. At the inauguration ceremony, she looked at the audience of young people and said, "I was invisible. I worked for $9 years and no one knew my name, but I saw something no one saw. I had the courage to speak up when it was easier to stay quiet, and that changed my life." She paused. Each of you has that power, the power to observe, to care, to act. Don't let anyone tell you that you are not important, because the most underestimated person in the room can be exactly the one who will save the day. Long, emotional applause. When she left that night, she passed in front of the company building. She thought of everything that had happened, of Javier, who had everything and lost it, of Raúl, who learned to listen, of thousands of employees who now had a voice, and she thought of herself, the woman who was invisible for $9 years, who could have stayed quiet, who could have given up but didn't accept it. And because of that, $12,000 families still had jobs. Hundreds of employees had progressed. An entire company had changed, all because a cleaner refused to be invisible. Elena smiled, got into the car, and went home. Tomorrow she would have a council meeting, then a lecture at the university, dinner with Sophia in the evening, life of a director, life of a counselor, life of a woman who made a difference. But more important than all the titles, she was the living proof of a simple truth. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is that you never stop believing that you can go further, and that when you get there, you reach out to pull others along with you. Because in the end, true success is not how high you climb, it's how many people you bring with you. This story shows how an invisible cleaner saved $12,000 families just because she didn't ignore what was wrong. And if this story inspired you not to accept injustice in silence, leave a like, share it with someone who is a fighter, and subscribe to follow the next life changes. This greatly helps this message reach further.